Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Anton, and welcome to today's video for Legends of Runeterra. Not much to talk about today. We got, I believe we have 8, maybe 7 cards. I think it's 8 cards to talk about today. Variety day, basically. We had Samira yesterday, and now we have like a bunch of variety cards. Pretty cute Shadow Isle spell actually here. Kind of a callback to an older card. But yeah, pretty solid stuff. I think we got some Demacia stuff, Shadow Isle stuff, some Freljord stuff, and I think a couple of Targon cards as well. But like I was saying, probably gonna be a shortish video because in all honesty, no card here is really using any of the new mechanics, like nothing, no brash stuff, no plunder synergy. So let's go and analyze these cards really quick. All right. Also, if you're wondering why I'm using actual images instead of Runeterra AR, I prefer Runeterra AR because it just lets me look at the card, look at the related cards, look at the full art, flavor text, etc., etc. I'm just using the images at the moment of recording this that the LOR account posted on Twitter because Runeterra AR is not working at the moment, so I can't use them. But yeah, what are the cards? Well, first off, we have a Demacia card. A couple of Demacia cards here. Form Up. Very, very, in my opinion, easy to evaluate card. 2 mana burst spell, give an ally +2/+2 this round. Now, you might... If you have joined the game relatively recently, I honestly can't remember how long the card has been nerfed, but Sharp Sight, the 2 mana, give a unit +1/+2, and it can block elusives until the end of the turn. That card actually used to give +2/+2. I think it was nerfed around last year, I want to say. So you might not know it used to actually give +2/+2. And the reason they nerfed it was because it was basically a staple of every Demacia deck. Control, aggro, midrange, whatever, you were almost always playing 2 to 3 Sharp Sights because +2/+2 is a good trick. On top of that, the whole can block elusives for the round. Now, with rotation happening, the power level of the game will go down. But is a Sharp Sight, an unnerfed Sharp Sight that is just the stat side good enough to see play? Yes. In my opinion, yes it is. I do think this card is good enough to see play. And in fact, not just good enough to see a little bit of play, but good enough to be a Demacia staple. Sure, not being able to block elusives is kind of annoying, but between things like blocking Badger Bear itself and all the strike spells, as long as too many of them don't get rotated out, I think Form Up is really, really good. And again, 2 mana for +2/+2 is just so good. Helps you trade well, helps you defend well. And that's only thinking about in Demacia, not to mention other regions as well. Our next card, though, for Demacia, Search Warrant. This card's kind of weird. 4 mana, fast spell. An ally with 4+ power captures a unit, or you can choose a different side of this card, or an ally captures a landmark. The reason I think this is weird is because why that line of text that says 4+ power to capture a unit? I'm guessing like maybe, and like, I'm trying to think of how to put this well. In other words, why is it for when you capture a unit, the ally has to be 4+ power, but if you capture a landmark, it doesn't matter what its power is? I don't know, it seems weird. Now, would this card be OP if it could always capture a unit? Like if the 4+ power line condition wasn't there? Maybe? So we have a card in the game that is similar-ish to this called Detain. Detain is not a good card. Detain is 5 mana fast spell, ally captures an enemy, basically. This is basically better Detain. Is it good enough to see play? Again, in the current game, no, but post-rotation, honestly, probably. Relatively cheap. Having versatility, having options on your card is pretty good. being able to capture a landmark so you don't have to destroy it is a really good too against things like Black Flame as well. And of course, being fast speed is really nice as well, so you can use it as a combat trick as well. I really do feel like they probably tested it and didn't have that line of text, the 4+ power line, and they probably tested it and it felt way too strong if there was no condition, and they added the 4+ power. Because now it gives you some counterplay besides just killing the enemy unit. You can also use things like freezes, shrink spells like Quicksand and Troll Chant, etc., etc. So yeah, I like this card. I do think the line of text, the condition of 4+ power, will keep it from seeing too much play, but I think it is a playable card. Unlike this next card, Thrall Bulwark. I don't know what we're supposed to do with this card. I love Freljord. I don't know what this card is trying to do. It is a 3-mana 3/4, so basically a Badger Bear worth of stats. I don't take damage from allied spells or skills. At a surface level glance, that's a pretty solid line of text. But when you actually think about it, what is this doing? It only says spells or skills, so it's still getting hit by your own Blighted Ravine. So what kind of spells and skills is it basically negating the damage? Is it like tanking? Avalanche? Is that it? Like, I guess you could argue it that stairs, the 8-drop. If you decide to make it deal 3 damage to the board, sure. You're usually using that for the landmark destruction. Ice shards, like not many people are really main decking ice shards anymore, in all honesty. So yeah, I'm really not sure what this card, what deck. First off, I'm not sure what deck wants this. That's the first problem. And then on top of that, I don't know. I'm not really sure like what this card's trying to do. Like, is this meant to be in a Freljord control deck where I'm going to be playing avalanches, but it still dies to my own Blighted Ravines? I don't know. I guess it holds equipment well. You can argue that. But yeah, it's not that it's a bad card. It's just an okay card. Like, it's got good stats for the cost, and it's got a line of text that means it's not just a vanilla card. Like, that line of text does come up every now and again, basically with Avalanche. Maybe in a Lysandra deck when you just level up Lysandra so the Ice Shard doesn't do much, but if you level up Lysandra, I think you're in a great spot. So yeah, I don't know. I guess there's also Spirits Unleashed. Spirits Unleashed also damages your stuff. It's a spell, so it takes spirits, or tanks Spirits Unleashed, but most Spirit Unleashed decks I feel like would rather play other cards than this. I don't know. If you have an idea of how to use this card, I'd love to hear it though. Next card, Frostcoat Cub. I like this guy. 2-mana 2/3. That's it. That's basically it for the first half of the card. Okay. Just okay. Pretty average stats for a 2-drop. But what's the line of text actually say here? Spend 6 mana to play me as Frostcoat Mother, which is a 6-mana 7/5 with Overwhelm. So immediately I think of Alpha Wildclaw, the 6-mana 7/6 with Overwhelm. So I look at this card as a slightly smaller Alpha Wildclaw that can be played early if you just need a unit right away, or if you want to just be a little more aggressive. Because I feel like if you're playing Alpha Wildclaw, you just want to wait and play it as late as possible, or use it as its Overwhelm form. But sometimes, you know, your Overwhelm deck, you're playing against an aggro deck, and you draw an Alpha Wildclaw, and you're like, well, this card's useless. And in that case, being able to play as a 2-mana 2/3 is pretty solid. So yeah, I think this is a pretty solid card for Freljord Overwhelm. Outside of Freljord Overwhelm, not a big fan of this. I don't think this sees play outside of anything besides Freljord Overwhelm. What I am curious about is, how do hand buffs work with this guy? Let's say like a chime, like a bard chime or something, or bird or whatever. You play bird, and then you get the chime, and the chime buffs the cub. If you choose to play the cub as the Frostcoat Mother, does the mother have the chime buff? In other words, is the mother an 8/6 with Overwhelm because of the +1/+1 chime, or does the chime only buff the front end, the cub side? I feel like it should buff both sides, but I'm not sure about it, and I'm very curious as to how this would work. So yeah, solid, really good Demacia cards here. One solid Freljord card and another solid, or I guess you could say it's solid Freljord card, but a Freljord card who I don't know what you're supposed to do with in the form of Bulwark. And we have one more page of cards. What do we have here, though? This card, Soul Harvest, really has my brain thinking, has my neurons firing, in all honesty. So this is also the card I was referencing when it's pretty cute, and it's referencing a older card. This is referencing Calling Strike from the artwork and just from the effect. 2-mana slow spell, kill a follower with 3 or less power, or spend 4 mana to kill a champion with 3 or less power. Now, Calling Strike is fast. 3 mana, kills something with 3 or less power, and it can hit champions. That's it. Very simple, not a lot of text card. So for 2 less power, for 1 less mana, and losing fast speed, you can't hit champions anymore. I don't know. I think the card is good. I think the mana discount is nice. Yeah, going to slow speed is pretty bad, though. But I like it. I think it's a very, very powerful card. My big problem with this card, which is also the same problem with things like, with Calling Strike, is buffs. Buffs just make this card really, really tough to play. Same with Calling Strike. And we have seen today a card that's going to make this card tough to play in the form of Form Up, the +2/+2 card. So that's why I think there is a deck for this, though. I don't think this is just a standard Shadow Isles control card. I don't think you're going to play this in every Shadow Isles control card. In fact, I only really think you're going to play this in Shadow Isles Freljord control. And the card, or the deck I like this card in a lot, is Ashe. Shadow Isles Ashe. You get the freezes to make things like Quietus and Shatter and Soul Harvest a little bit better. So yeah, I think it's pretty good. And then, of course, you can play other things like Frozen in Fear for win cons, Rekindler to bring back Ashes, Harrowing for the big win con. If you're playing Harrowing, you can even play a secondary Shadow Isles card in the form, or Shadow Isles champ in the form of Nocturne. Harrowing Nocturne seems pretty solid. So yeah, I like the card. I think it is pretty solid. And we'll see a decent amount of play, but only in Freljord Shadow Isles control. Now our next card is Eradication. I like it, but I might be overrating this card. 6 mana slow spell. Kill all units with 3 or less power. This is the kind of card I feel like is good, but is only good in certain metas. And the nice thing about it is most decks will have targets for Eradication, even slower control-based decks, because it is checking power, not health. So it deals with, how to put it, like annoying, hard to deal with backline units, like evasive units. I don't know how you would describe it, but things like, Seraphine, Vagar, basically low power, high health units who want to sit in the back and gets you some value. So yeah, I like the card. I feel like this is a card when you're deck building your Shadow Isles control decks, you're going to look at all the cards being played, the play rates of certain cards, and be like, how many things get hit by Eradication? Are those things that get hit by Eradication things I want to kill with Eradication, etc., etc.? How much does Eradication hurt my own deck? Stuff like that. Also, on top of that, seems pretty solid for Nasus too. So yeah, I like the card. Pretty solid. And our next card, Cosmic Youngling. Don't really know what this card is trying to do. 2 mana 1/4, round start. Heal me and your Nexus by 1. Like, yeah, healing's nice, but what deck wants this? I feel like Value Targon has better ways to heal. The only Targon deck I can really seeing any kind of play in is Soraka. Like, outside of Soraka, I don't think any other Targon deck would play this. Like, what other Targon deck would play this? I feel like in heavy value invoke piles would rather just have, Star Shaping as its healing of choice. Mid-range decks don't really want healing. Go wide, Targon doesn't really want healing, so yeah. And even if you do want healing, this is very slow healing, so yeah, I'm not sure about this. I feel like you just want this to activate healing synergies like Soraka, so whatever. And our next card, our final card for today, Falling Star. Definitely, this card definitely makes me feel like Sleepy Trouble Bubble and Paddle Star gets rotated. 2 mana, slow spell. Deal 4 to an enemy that attack this round or is stunned. So if you don't know what I just said when I said Paddle Star, because honestly, who plays Paddle Star? You only see it when Zoe gets played. Paddle Star is a 3 mana, deal 5 to an enemy that attack this round or is stunned. It actually used to only deal 4 and they buffed it to deal 5, and it still never really saw play outside of being a Zoe champ spell. Is this card good? Well, Paddle Star wasn't really that good. You would sometimes see people play Sleepy Trouble Bubble because for a couple of reasons. Sometimes you would be playing Targon Yasuo, but also because you would use Sleepy Trouble Bubble to pop a spell shield and then Paddle Star to Paddle Star stuff. But even then, that was a very, very, very rare thing. Now, this is doing 1 less damage than Paddle Star, but it's also 1 less mana. I don't know if it's good enough. Also, depending on what's rotated, the fact that you have to get attacked first or stun, which I'm going to be honest with you, Targon doesn't really have that many stuns that are good. Like there's Solari, Sunhawk, and a few others, but not that many. Like Crescent Strike, I guess, if we all include Invokes. Yeah, I don't know. Like, maybe we can try out Yasuo Targon again, but Yasuo Targon's always just kind of been inferior to Yasuo Noxus because Katarina is just so good and Ravenous Flock compared to Falling Star or Paddle Star or whatever. So yeah, I don't know about this card. I do think I've always overrated Paddle Star. I've always tried to play Paddle Star, more importantly Sleepy Trouble Bubble, in my decks because I like the card. But it's always the fact that your opponent has to attack or the unit has to be stunned does make it a little awkward. Because usually, like, there isn't really a good way to target stun something in Targon. And yes, I know there's like Celestial Impact, I believe, the 5 mana spell, 5 mana stun spell, Gravitum from Aphelios, Crescent Strike, but they're not as good as, say, like Arachnoid Sentry from Noxus. But I could be wrong. This could be a playable card and really, really good. But I'm going to lean on it's just not good enough. You're losing too much tempo and taking too much damage for it. But yeah, I'd love to hear your opinions on these cards. What do you think about them? How would you build with these cards? I think they're pretty good. I'm actually really excited to build with Soul Harvest. Yeah, no Vile Feast. We all know Vile Feast is getting rotated. But I think Soul Harvest is going to help slow games down. And it's pretty solid in the late game too if we're playing things like Ashe or Freeze. Also, that's some thunder outside. I hope I don't lose my power. Because I'm about to be done recording and I don't want to have to re-record this. But yeah, like I was saying, I'd love to hear your opinions on how you would build with these cards and just what you think of them. Do you think they're good? Do you think they're bad? Do you think Form Up, basically just unnerf Sharpsight without the elusive text, is good enough? Am I missing something with Thrall Bulwark? Do you think that guy, there's a Freljord deck for that guy? And if you guys just enjoyed the video in general, I'd love it if you could leave a like or a comment down below. Always helps me and always helps out the channel. And if you guys want to go and keep up with the Legends of Runeterra content, you can always go and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to watch me play some Legends of Runeterra, you can go and check me out over on Twitch at twitch.tv/Senaton, where I stream pretty much every single day. Anyway, though, with that all said and done, thank you all once more for watching this video. And until I see you guys in the next one, bye.